You're watching ABC10 Plus This Week.
Hi everyone, I'm Walt Gray. You're watching ABC 10 This Week. In dollars and cents, new research shows car prices are reaching record highs, forcing many buyers to consider longer loan terms, some stretching to 100 months. Plus 10 on your side helps a viewer facing high utility bills. Then we'll hit the back roads. John Bartel heads to Washington State, experiencing life in the Bavarian-themed town of Leavenworth. ABC 10 This Week starts right now.
Mildred Hernandez was 100 years old, and her family says her life was much bigger than how it ended.
She was like Superwoman. She came from very humble beginnings, Southern California, immigrant parents. She kind of did it all and raised 4 girls. Family was super important. She was amazing.
Her family says they trusted Greenhaven Estates in Sacramento to keep her safe.
She's left a hole in our hearts, and the grandchildren that knew and loved her so much.
Greenhaven Estates Assisted Living and Memory Care now operates as Spanish Vines Assisted Living and Memory Care. The family's attorney claims there were warning signs there long before she died.
The staff knew for a period of months leading up to this day that Mildred was having increased confusion. She was wandering in the middle of the night. Nothing documented about it. No one was told about it.
What happened next in February of 2019 unfolded before dawn. The lawsuit alleges Hernandez was found outside Greenhaven Estates beyond an exit door that had automatically locked with temperatures around 38 degrees.
And on the night in question, the last check of her seemed to be around 1 in the morning. She was found at some time before 6 a.m. The evidence seems to be that she was out there for several hours.
He says she was taken to the hospital and died from hypothermia.
And who got the call that she was found outside of the facility?
My sister that lives here in Sacramento.
The family says they learned about the problems after she died.
When did you find out that there were troubles at this estate?
Unfortunately, by the time we found out, it was too late. There really wasn't any indication.
The family's attorney alleges basic safeguards were missing.
There was no kind of silver alert. There was no alarming of any doors. She was found by a caregiver, but she couldn't be saved.
Now the family says they're speaking out so others stay informed and don't experience the same loss.
What do you hope comes out of this case?
We want to let as many people know that this happened.
We reached out to the attorneys for the defendants and to the care facility multiple times by email and phone, but never heard back. In Sacramento, Nazi Javid, ABC 10.
U.S. Senator Adam Schiff came to Sacramento Wednesday to discuss priorities with state lawmakers, from immigration to health care and the state budget deficit. ABC 10 State Matters political reporter Jenny Huh sat down with Senator Schiff.
Well, what the detainees told us is that the water smells bad, and when they drink it, they often get a stomachache as a result. Others describe mold in their food. But frankly, the most significant concern were people who couldn't get the medical care that they needed.
This Democratic Senator Adam Schiff's takeaways after touring the California City ICE detention facility in Kern County, the largest and newest in the state.
The vast majority of them have never committed a violent crime. The vast majority of them has never committed a crime, apart from being undocumented.
Schiff and fellow Senator Alex Padilla spoke out about poor quality drinking water and lack of medical care, to which CoreCivic, the operator of the private facility, told us, quote, any claim of water quality issues is patently false. We asked the senator for his reaction.
So what you saw doesn't really give you confidence in the statement that they provided?
No, I mean, this is what we hear from the DHS authorities all the time.
Schiff says this was an oversight visit, but noted not enough is possible under the Trump administration and Republican trifecta in Washington.
The Justice Department is unwilling to do it. Departments aren't doing it themselves. The inspector generals who are supposed to be doing that, rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse, they've been the DHS authorities all the time.
Schiff says this was an and Republican trifecta.
The department is unwilling to do it. Departments aren't. The inspector generals who are supposed to be doing that, rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse, They've been hole that the federal government has put them in, the passage of that big, beautiful bill that the president calls.
On Medi-Cal and CalFresh, does the state budget deficit concern you, Senator? Because the administration admitted that while the $1.4 billion additional dollars are spending in the next budget, it's for administrative costs. They can't backfill for the individuals that will be impacted because of the deficit.
It's a huge problem. There's really no sugarcoating it. So those discussions are going on as a part of the appropriation process in Congress. We hope to restore some of the funding we've taken away from the states.
Jenny Huh, ABC 10.
Jenny, thank you. To watch our full interview with Senator Adam Schiff, visit our website, abc10.com.
All right, let's get to our next story. A new candidate has emerged in the race for Sacramento County Supervisor for District 1. Dr. Flo Kofer has announced her campaign to fill the seat of current Supervisor Phil Cerna, who has announced his retirement late last year. Now, Kofer will be running against current Sacramento City Council member Eric Guerra. ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen is here to introduce us to both of the candidates.
Alex, Councilmember Eric Guerra has been endorsed by current Supervisor Phil Cerna for his seat. He says he's ready to take on the challenge to continue to do the good work Cerna has already done over the past couple of years. But Dr. Flo Kofer tells me she believes it's time for change and that her experience can bring positive changes to the district.
I have a background in public health. I'm an epidemiologist. I've worked on county programs. I come from the California Department of Public Health. And so it just makes sense to have someone with that expertise to complement the 4 other supervisors who don't have that background.
Dr. Flo Kofer is hoping to be the next Sacramento County Supervisor for District 1. The seat is currently held by Supervisor Phil Cerna, who recently announced he will not be seeking another term. Kofer says her focus will be addressing the homelessness issue.
What are we doing to get people into housing immediately? Are we looking at our current housing stock and saying, can we just buy up and rent some of it so we can get people inside? Are we identifying people who aren't going to be able to live independently and making sure they have the social supports?
Kofer ran for Sacramento mayor in 2024 and narrowly lost against Mayor Kevin McCarty. Now she'll be facing current Sacramento City Council member Eric Guerra, who has been endorsed by Cerna. Both are long-term Sacramento politicians, and Kofer acknowledges the challenges there, but she believes it's time for change.
And no one should expect their county supervisors or any of their electeds to know everything. What you can expect is for them to listen, for them to turn to really keen expertise when they need something, and for them to be responsive to the community. And I am a yes on all 3 of those things.
Guerra tells ABC 10 his experience on city council will benefit him if he's elected, especially dealing with the challenges in having a city district that also crosses over into county jurisdiction.
Because the progress we've seen on Stockton Boulevard with all the new housing, the small businesses now investing in there, that's a result of pulling people together. And now being able to use that city council member perspective as a supervisor, it'll allow us to break down those silos. We cannot have the city and the county fighting each other.
Homelessness is also a top priority for Guerra if he's elected. His focus is working together with all agencies and jurisdictions to make effective changes.
The one thing that the county needs to do is figure out how to partner better with all the cities. We cannot have a scenario where one city is pitted against the other. And this is one thing that the grand jury said the county and the city and the cities need to be working together.
And even though he's got Supervisor Cerna's endorsement, Guerra says his focus has always been his community.
I think regardless of endorsements, they do signal important. It's what you're doing in the community, and that's exactly how I continue to run my campaign.
And Kofer says she will not be accepting any corporate PAC money during her campaign. Guerra says he'll be happy to accept donations from local businesses, but not from corporations like oil and tobacco. Alex.
New tonight, Congressman and California gubernatorial candidate Eric Swalwell is the target of a new lawsuit. A conservative filmmaker alleges that Swalwell does not live in the state. ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen is here to break it all down for us tonight.
Alex, the lawsuit alleges Congressman Eric Swalwell hasn't lived in the state for years and has a full-time home in Washington, D.C. In response, Swalwell is already posting on social media that he's confident he'll beat this lawsuit.
First, you have to be a United States citizen. Second, you have to be a registered voter in the state. And third, you must be a resident for the preceding 5 years leading up to the gubernatorial election.
According to the California Constitution, these are the 3 requirements candidates must have to run for governor. Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell is currently leading the gubernatorial race in his party, and he's been the target of President Trump's allegations over mortgage fraud, in which he denies.
I don't wake up to fight Donald Trump. I wake up to fight for Californians.
Now Swalwell is targeted again over his place of residence in this new lawsuit filed last week. Joel Gilbert is a conservative filmmaker who created this website to post his lawsuit and all the filings to try and prove Swalwell does not live in California full time. He claims Swalwell owns a home in Washington, D.C., hasn't had a permanent place to live in California for years, and says the home address Swalwell listed on his candidate intention form is an office building in Sacramento.
Residency doesn't require that you are in the state 365 days out of the year. Residency is primarily based on one's intent to be a resident of that state.
Gilbert is calling for Swalwell to end his gubernatorial campaign. In an exchange on X, Swalwell responded to the lawsuit by saying all congressmen from California live in both California and D.C., adding that he'll beat Gilbert in court. In response, Gilbert claimed Swalwell falsified documents without a California address and declared his D.C. home as his principal home. Gilbert believes that is enough to disqualify Swalwell from the race. Legislative analyst Chris McCaley says a judge will have the last say, but believes Swalwell has a strong case to argue.
Born and raised in Dublin, California, in the East Bay, and where he served, for example, on the city council, and obviously that is the home base of his congressional district, CD 14. I think he's going to demonstrate that he's been essentially a lifetime resident of that area.
Swalwell would not do an interview with ABC10, but his campaign consultant tells us he's always had a residence in the Bay Area. And because of the thousands of death threats, it's legal to list a campaign office as the address for his legal filings.
I also tried reaching out to Joel Gilbert to comment on this story, but he did not respond to my request.
Hundreds of new laws took effect here in California this month, including those regulating artificial intelligence companies.
This despite efforts by the White House to block state-level regulations. ABC 10 State Matters political reporter Jenny Huh has the latest reaction from state leaders.
And it's great politics, I guess, for some. It's a stunt where we're concerned and sort of a distraction.
Congress has not shown the ability to date to pass meaningful technology policy.
Democratic State Senators Steve Padilla and Scott Wiener are behind California's first-in-the-nation laws regulating social media and AI platforms. Wiener's legislation requires more transparency by the largest AI companies, like public disclosure of safety and security protocols and reporting of safety incidents. Padilla is targeting what he calls predatory companion chatbots, like by mandating reminders for the user they're chatting to a bot, not human.
Basically act like a human being when they're not and take conversations and content in very unsafe, dangerous places, particularly, for example, people who are in emotional or mental crisis, people who are very young.
But President Trump is pushing for one federal standard, signing an executive order to create a task force to challenge and do away with state AI laws and penalize them by withholding federal funding. We reached out to the White House for an update on these efforts, but did not hear back.
So if we're going to have one national standard, it needs to be strong and meaningful and impactful.
It's full steam ahead for California. Padilla is trying to strengthen age verification requirements and ensure no sexually explicit content is present for underage users. A type of regulation Republican State Senator Roger Nilo says he's comfortable with.
We've seen an alarming increase in mental health issues with kids. I'm concerned with how it's used, not how it's developed.
And earlier this month, OpenAI, the parent company of ChatGPT, and kid safety advocate Common Sense Media collaborated on a ballot measure, the Parents and Kids Safe AI Act. If approved by voters, it would mandate age assurance, eliminate targeted ads, and prevent emotional manipulation and the encouragement of harmful behavior.
If we don't act, in California, the voters can, and they will, because this is something that people want to see.
These leaders say California can protect online users and promote business growth, but the one warning:
let's not fool around with how the tech companies develop their technology. That truly will discourage innovation.
Jenny Huh, ABC 10.
And they will, because this is something that people want to see.
These leaders say California can protect online users and promote business growth. But the one warning:
let's not fool around with how the tech companies develop their technology. That truly will discourage innovation.
Jenny Huh, ABC 10.
something that people want to see.
These leaders say California can protect online users and promote business growth. But the one warning:
let's not fool around with how the tech companies develop their technology. Will discourage innovation.
Jenny He, ABC 10.
Something that people want to see.
These leaders say California can protect online users and promote business growth.
Let's not fool around with how the tech companies develop their technology.
Jenny He, ABC 10.
To see.
These leaders say California can protect online users and promote business growth.
Let's not fool around with how the tech companies develop their technology.
Jenny He, ABC 10.
To see.
These leaders say California can protect online users and promote business growth.
Let's not fool around with how the tech companies develop their technology.
Jenny He, ABC 10.
To see.
These leaders say California can protect online users and promote business growth.
Let's not fool around with how the tech companies develop their technology.
Jenny He, ABC 10.
To see.
These leaders say California can protect online users and promote business growth.
Let's not fool around with how the tech companies develop their technology.
Jenny He, ABC 10.
To see.
These leaders say California can protect online users and promote business growth.
Let's not fool around with how the tech companies develop their technology.
Jenny He, ABC 10.
To see.
These leaders say California can protect online users and promote business growth.
Let's not fool around with how the tech companies develop their technology.
Jenny He, ABC 10.
To see.
These leaders say California can protect online users and promote business growth.
Let's not fool around with how the tech companies develop their technology.
Jenny He, ABC 10.
To see.
These leaders say California can protect online users and promote business growth. ABC10.
To see.
These leaders say California can protect online users and promote business growth.
To see.
These leaders protect online users
To see.
These leaders protect online users protect online users protect online users, 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 protect online users,
There's a place in the Cascades of Washington that looks, feels, and sounds like the Swiss Alps. That place is called Leavenworth, a Bavarian-themed town with a Pacific Northwest hospitality.
So what's that little door at the top up there?
I'm glad you asked about that. That's actually where our glockenspiel is. Does your hometown have a glockenspiel?
I have no idea what a glockenspiel is.
Okay.
If you're wondering what a glockenspiel is and why this little Washington mountain town is covered in Bavarian facade, hitch a ride with the Leavenworth Carriage Company and talk with historian Ann Peavy.
Were these people Bavarian or I mean, I guess, are we
There was nothing Bavarian about them, believe it or not. They were just, homesteaders.
Ann says in the late 1800s, Leavenworth was a major locomotive hub, moving cargo up and over the mountains. But when the railroad relocated in the 1920s, so did many of the people.
So Leavenworth's population went from close to 5,000 people in the early 1920s down to about 900 people.
For decades, Leavenworth struggled and many businesses closed. But then in the 1950s, two entrepreneurs, Bob Rogers and Ted Price, came up with an idea.
Bob Rogers, part of that partnership, he saw the area as having a backdrop that reminded him of Bavaria when he was there in World War II.
Bob and Ted started with a Bavarian-style restaurant and eventually talked the entire town into a major remodel. Storefronts added Tudor-style trim, colorful murals, and a giant maypole.
Starting from the bottom and working its way up, you can see a little bit of this little town's history from the railroad and the timber industry all the way to the change to turn into a Bavarian village toward the top.
To this day, Leavenworth residents like Janet Mano still embrace the Bavarian facade and share the adopted culture with visitors.
And it's the herdsman's horn. So in the mid-1700s, in fact, there was a decree in Switzerland that every herdsman should play the Alp horn because it increased milk production. Good for the motherland.
While in Leavenworth, it's also worth stopping by the Nutcracker Museum to see the world's largest collection of nutcrackers. It's also worth visiting the Leavenworth Reindeer Farm to feed Santa's helpers. Oh, and I almost forgot. At the end of the tour, Ann told me what a glockenspiel is.
Glockenspiel. That's a German word for a specific type of a clock that's very common in Germany. At the top of each hour, the clock chimes, the doors open, and wooden figurines come out and dance to recorded accordion music.
Riding the streets of Leavenworth, I'm John Bartel. Hope to see you on the back roads.
Thank you for watching ABC 10 this week. We're here 24/7 on the free ABC 10 TV streaming app. You can get your local news and weather anytime, anywhere. I'm Walt Gray. Take care. Hope to see you next time.